This is Cinderella Stories. Welcome inside the studio for episode 21. As you can see, Savannah has abandoned us, quite frankly. She decided to live out her dream and go see an NFL game for the first time ever, which we're very excited about. It was very cold. I saw a picture of her posting and she was smiling with her teeth, but in her eyes, I could tell she was miserable. And that brought me a little bit of joy. I can't lie, Savannah. But we miss you. And she's going to pop in later in the show to break down some of the WNBA CBA stuff that's happening behind the scenes. Because as per tradition, as soon as we recorded and we wrapped, new news broke and we were unable to cover it as in-depth as we would have liked to last episode. But nonetheless, this is Cinderella Stories. I'm Ash, she's Sav, and we're happy to be here with you. There are 5 stories that I want to touch on that happened last week that we do need to break down because some of them really are tea. And we're going to talk about swimming sensation Penny Oleksiak first and foremost. So essentially, if you've been living under a rock, Penny pretty much had to eat a 2-year ban from being in the pool. So she's eligible to start competing after 2027, which means she will be eligible to compete in the Olympics. But the World Anti-Doping Agency said, we tried to find you for these whereabouts checks, and you were not to be found. And not once, not twice, but thrice. 3 times Penny Oleksiak was unable to be found for a doping test, a check-in, whatever it is. But I will say 2 things. First and foremost, the protocol behind these whereabouts checks are absolutely ridiculous. It's too much. Why are you so obsessed with me? The athletes must provide a daily 60-minute availability window, 90 days in advance, regardless of where they are in the world. That's every single day of your life. You need to be available for a 60-minute window. And that means if your flight is delayed and you miss your window, that could be a problem if they're trying to do a whereabouts check. If you're in traffic, if you're hungover, if your phone's on D&D by accident, I would be in a lot of trouble. My phone's on D&D all the time. And I don't understand why you can't just drop a pin. Just take my location and that's how you can know my actual whereabouts. So that's the first thing. They had her former teammate and Olympic medalist, Brittany McLean-Campbell, on CBC for an interview. And they really were trying to hone in on the, is she PED Penny angle? Is she doping? Is she on drugs? Is she taking illegal substances? To be very clear, that is not what she's being accused of. She's just being accused of being MIA. And her teammate, Brittany, did a good job kind of dodging those questions because I think who's to say? We actually don't know that. So speculation can become very dangerous towards her legacy. She is the most storied female Olympian from Canada ever. So I think to be careful with that. But ultimately, she did an interview with Devin Heroux from CBC as well. And I always think these things are so interesting and funny because it's set in a weight room. She's wearing high athletic socks. Did you just work out? But her hair is done. She has a full beat. What message are we trying to convey with this? And I actually thought, no disrespect to her, I think that she probably should have had somebody media-wise potentially go over some of the questions or some of the tone and tenor of the interview beforehand. Because I felt whether it was because she was nervous, whether it was because she was flippant, I really felt like she was kind of laughing and kind of brushing it off. And she made a comment about, I've never done anything the easy way my whole life. So why would this be any different? And it's well, you didn't have cancer. Your life is not hard in the sense that it's not something that you could have controlled. You just weren't available for your whereabouts checks 3 very separate times. And for me, somebody who's obsessed with their sport and wants to continue competing at a high level, if it happens one time, okay, whatever, it happens. Because also in that whereabouts system that you input your do whatever, if you have a spelling error, they said sometimes that you can be docked in that regard. So I think that is very important to know that there are gaps in the system that can leave the athletes at a disadvantage. But the first time, okay, whatever, things happen. The second time, we need to be careful. The third time, you already know you're on thin ice. You already know your health bar is flashing, you are about to die. Your battery is on 1%. You need to be on your P's and Q's. And so if you wanted to continue as a competitive swimmer and you knew you were on your final strike, I just feel like you would be obsessed with making sure the third time didn't happen. Like I have more diligence when it comes to like my Uber Eats driver showing up at my door and me not missing that call. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of what it feels like. So I wonder if, listen, this is like tinfoil hat, big brain kind of situation. Like I wonder if to a degree, whether consciously or subconsciously, it was, I'm going to use the word orchestrated. It might not be the correct term, but kind of like an orchestrated break on her part where people are talking about, again, like this being something that she's avoiding because of doping or whatever. But I wonder if she just like needs a break. And she's like, whatever, like it is what it is. I'm just a girl. I've been swimming my whole life. I've already brought excellence to my country. I've already been at the top of my sport for however long. And now I just want to like be with my friends, like be with my man, be having dinners in Toronto, traveling the world, enjoying my fame a little bit, and just like taking a break from what it does take to be a high level professional athlete. Because I think we don't talk about burnout enough in these instances. And I'm wondering if maybe subconsciously this is like a side effect of that. Nonetheless, our girl Penny Oleksiak is sidelined. Or poolside, I don't know, cabana side, whatever the term is. I have no idea. So she will not be in the pool competing 2026, 2027, but will be eligible for LA 2028. And, you know, we wish her well, whatever it is that's happening, whether it was completely incidental the entire time, whether she does need a break, whether it's a third option we don't know about. We wish our girl Penny well, but nonetheless, we know we have Summer McIntosh to be rooting for in the pool. We just had the summer of summer. And so the sport is in very, very good hands, whether it's Penny, whether it's Summer. All right. Second, I don't think you're going to be necessarily making a bag off being a professional swimmer or diver or anything in the aquatic space. But if you have kids, rip them by their collar off the basketball court, grab them by their cleat shoestring, rip them off the soccer pitch, hold them upside down and say, you need to lock in because we're going to the tennis court. Okay. We're going to the driving range, because a list of the top 15 highest earners from 2025 in the women's athletic space was just released. And it's overwhelmingly tennis players who are making the bag. I don't think it's a surprise. This is something that we have seen and heard about for kind of years now. And at the top of the list, like if you need $20, Coco Gauff's your girl. She has a couple extra dollars to her name. Her net earnings for 2025 were $31 million. 23 million of those were off-court endorsements, and then 8 million were on-court earnings, which again is still a significant amount. I know I'm not making $8 million. You guys? All of the Cinderella Stories staff combined. Like, we wish, right? That would be a blessing. So it's $31 million for Coco Gauff. She won the French Open this past year. Obviously, she has a New Balance deal that is going to be super lucrative. And so this is the flight path. If you're trying to make money as a female athlete, of course, you can make it in a ton of different ways, but it's going to be tennis. One time, okay, here's the one thing. I'm delusional. And you know how they talk about girls that have the, oh, I could do that syndrome, where it's like you see it, you feel like you could do it. I feel like I can do mostly anything. And I know we're not going to talk about me falling off the chair and nearly killing myself painting a wall doing bootleg lime wash last week, because I survived and yet we moved. You know what I'm saying? But I literally, at one point during Christmas, I think 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I actually campaigned a wealthy member of my non-immediate family to give me $100,000 salary for a year so I could just commit myself to golf. I could be on the LPGA's development tour, the Epson tour, making like a couple bucks trying to get my LPGA tour card. I really do believe that. And oh God, I feel like it's a really big missed opportunity on some investors' part to just like give me the money to try it out. Like, what's the worst that could happen? You lose $100,000, like you have money. You're an investor. Don't be so cheap. I just think that I'm so accustomed, and this is not a good sales pitch, but I'm so accustomed to being in the bunker and being in the rough that I can get myself out of almost any jam if I needed to. So imagine if I could just take that draw off my ball a little bit off my drives. I hit already like 200, 210 on a good day. You know what I'm saying? And I barely golf. Anyway, find me on the links coming up in 2026. That's gonna be my new thing. That and learning sign language are my new goals for 2026. Okay, women's basketball, where you historically could not make a ton of money, but now things are changing. Team valuations have never been higher. Athlete endorsements have never been more lucrative. Players have literally never been in higher demand, whether it's the college level or the professional ranks, than they are right now. When we wrapped the show last week, literally, like 4 hours later, information comes out. The league's latest proposal to the players includes a $1 million base salary at the Supermax level, which was previously $250,000 last year. And players at the minimum project to make at least $225,000. So the old Supermax is now the new player minimum from the league's recent proposal. And that's up from $66,000. So that's a significant bounce. And that is in conjunction with the salary cap essentially tripling in the next couple of years. But as a caveat, and you guys know a negotiation, listen, we're involved in negotiations every single day, whether you know it or not. My Uber driver, can I take a call while you're driving? Sure, if you put the radio on. Negotiation. Do you know what I'm saying? Like me to myself, my alarm went off. Okay, I'll wake up, but in 7 minutes after my snooze is over. Everything is a negotiation. And so the WNBA is saying, you want money? Here, cash the check. We'll put our name on the dotted line, but you have to give something up as well. And the thing that they're going after is player housing. Bet y'all didn't know that the girls were getting their housing taken care of, which is a big expense, I think, as we all know, in this economy. Rent, mortgage, property tax, all those things. So the teams were covering it. But the players are saying, we don't want that to be gone because there's a couple of pain points surrounding it. And part of it is the short-term rentals, the players that are cut whose salaries aren't guaranteed. But to get into it a little bit more, we're going to go to Savannah right now, and she's going to walk us through the new developments from this latest round of negotiations in the WNBA CBA.
All these negotiations happening in the WNBA, the league needs to realize that you cannot play in someone's face and not get clocked. Cue Paige Beckers. She entered the group chat this week to emphasize the conversation about what WNBA players are truly worth. We're going to get to what she said because it was big. But before we get there, let's have some context as to why she said what she said. For those who are new, WNBA players have been underpaid for a very long time. And any self-respecting employee is going to ask their employer for more money, especially when they know the value that they bring. And there's always more leverage when a contract is coming up. But what happens when the employee is also the product, and the product is worth over $2 billion. And that $2 billion is a done deal. Keep in mind, that's just media deals alone. There's other deals that happen. Think about the court sponsors, the jersey sponsors. Having the verbiage, players are the employees, and the WNBA, aka all the owners as well, are the employers. And the players have been trying to figure this out with the WNBA since last May, and they felt like they got dismissed, so they got the public involved. They wore these t-shirts at the All-Star game to signal that, hey, something's wrong. So at the end of the season, just before the WNBA finals kicks off, where the league is getting the most viewership, runner-up MVP and one of the most respected voices across basketball, Napheesa Collier, puts Kathy Engelbert, the commissioner of the league, the big boss, on blast. You could read this. And to make it more inflammatory, Napheesa said that this is what her boss told her. Now, Napheesa is just speaking towards her own experience, but also the frustration that's shared amongst the players. Now the pressure's on. Everyone's watching. Now you got the commissioner trying to defend her name while trying to be politically correct. But that doesn't go too well because she basically called Napheesa's comments inaccurate. The commissioner says, hey girl, let's take this offline. Let's have a meeting, aka out of the public eye. And to that, Napheesa says, how about no? Whatever you want to say to me, you can say it in front of all of us. Now, timelines are everything because all that back and forth happened mid-October. Now, the contract that the players are on ends on Halloween. Yeah, October 31st. You really can't rate this. At this point, everything's awkward and nothing's solved. So what does the WNBA say? They say, let's circle back in about a month. Now, you might be very surprised to hear this, but that month comes and that month goes and it is crickets. But then they say, I guess we got to do another extension. This time to January 9th. Capricorn season. What can go wrong? They didn't mention any zodiac signs. And I know that this is super serious, but you kind of got to laugh because it went from crazy to kind of ridiculous. You might be wondering, well, what are the players even asking for if it's taking this long? The answer is very simple. It's respect. Because in terms of salary, it's less about the numbers on the dotted line and more about the piece of the pie. Currently, the NBA gives their players about 50% of the overall revenue share. Currently, the WNBA, they make about 9% of the overall money that comes in. Put it this way, for every dollar that you make your company, imagine only taking home 9 cents and your company takes home 91 cents. That is how bad it is. So the WNBA is like, yo, can we get the same model as the NBA, please? Because like you wouldn't even have a league without us, the players. Here's the thing, the NBA didn't always have 50%. Now, when you go back to the NBA in 1983, when they got that 50% deal, the state, the health, the livelihood of the NBA at the time is comparable to where the WNBA is now. And to add on to that, there's even evidence. There's receipts that the WNBA is in a better state than the NBA was when they were granted that 50% rev share model. So now the WNBA is saying, hey, we will give your best players the potential to make a maximum of $1.1 million. And it could be 1 or 2, maybe 3 players per team. And the minimum will be about $225,000, which makes the average somewhere around $400,000 to $500,000. And that's up from the $249,000 max contract that they have right now. Well, that sounds great, right? Wrong. Those salaries are set rates. That is not rev share. That's not percentage. And to that, the league has said, let's bump you guys up from 9% to about 15%. How's that? Oh, but did we mention that there's a catch? The catch being that they're taking away player housing. Oh, and now I want to start our training camp as early as March. Oh, and if you miss training camp, you will be suspended. So now the WNBA is playing in other people's territory. Like, I don't know, the NCAA Women's March Madness tournament, one of the biggest platforms in women's sports. And another territory they're crossing with that, off-season professional leagues where women make their current bag. And March is usually the start of the playoffs in those leagues. The WNBA is really coming in like, we're the main character, deal with it. And the players are saying, we won't. Last time I checked, CBAs are typically more about addition rather than subtraction. To paraphrase, they don't want their players prioritizing other income sources. And they're taking away their housing. If the league wants to do all that, then at least increase the revenue share to 50%. Now I get it, it's hard to ask your boss for basically a quintuple raise. The current WNBA max is only $249,000. There's other leagues like Project B that are valuing these same players for more than quintuple the amount that they're making right now in the league. WNBA is saying, we'll boost you to 1.1 million max salary. Project B is saying, we start our star players at $2 million. No questions asked. Oh, and we got you with an equity stake too. We'll go into Project B another time. That's why the players are not budging. So let's wrap this whole thing up with what Paige said. The WNBA Rookie of the Year, she said that we could bring more visibility and more eyes. They already have national media, commercials, brand deals, and that they are more than just players. They want to be compensated for basically their star power, which is not asking much when the bar is currently 9 cents to your dollar. She said these deadlines will probably continue to get extended. And if they keep on getting extended, then we're looking at a lockout, which is detrimental for all the work that the league and the players have built to get this far. The answer is very simple. Pay the players.
Thank you, Savannah. Always super insightful as usual. And I think one of the things that stands out to me the most too, and I think Natasha Cloud kind of talked about it as well, is like for the younger players are going to get kind of stuck in some of these instances. Again, the contracts aren't guaranteed. Depending on also where you play, it's a competitive advantage for smaller cities. You're telling me rent is the same in Indiana as it is in the Bay Area? Come on, love. You're telling me that rent is the same in, I was going to say New York, Toronto. Rent is going to be very expensive. You think it's the same as in Minnesota? Come on, love. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's another thing that the players are harping on. And I think there's definitely some validity to that. But also sometimes the pull of the big city, you feel how you feel and you want to be in the mix. You want to be in the action. So that is where we're at with the WNBA CBA. Savannah and I talked about it quite extensively last week, actually, and you can go back and watch episode 20 if you want to get caught up. But we really do think that there is going to be some semblance of a player strike. The last extension on the CBA negotiations was just under 6 weeks. There's 40 days. And so the end of January is the new cutoff. The league wants to move the league up. It wants to start earlier in March, which could impact March Madness, which could impact some of the athletes from college. Like the whole thing is going to be a mess, but you have to know that if the players want more revenue share, if the players want higher salaries, that something has to give on the other end. I've said this before, it's a business. The owners want to make as much money as possible. Sure, some of them have very, very valid interest in women's sports, in uplifting women, in making sure that female athletes get to play and in more equitable conditions and get that full experience that they really and truly do deserve. But ultimately, the bottom line is the bottom line, right? And I think sometimes we forget about that it is a business. And like when it comes to money, woo, mixing friends and money is like a really tough situation. I'll tell you a story about this one girl that I actually thought was my friend. For legal purposes, we'll call her Leona. It's not her name, obviously. But Leona and I had been friends for like 3 years, maybe, let's just say. And we went to a dinner with another mutual of ours, and everyone's doing like their update. And like at my big age, it ends up being like a 6-month update because you haven't seen each other. It's hard to get together. Schedules are conflicting, So we go through it. My other friend talks. I give a little 1-2, and then we get to Leona, and it's like, what's going on with you? Like, tell us everything. She's like, girls, I'm down bad. I am down so freaking bad. My family is dealing with some interpersonal drama. She's like, my brother is homeless and he has addiction issues, and I had to pay for him to go to rehab. My parents can't afford it. I'm traveling for work. There's some drama in that regard. And so she goes on this tangent of like, it's just the hits keep coming. It's like hit after hit, first to the jaw, then to the ribs. You're like, oh my God, how are you still standing? Let us know if you need anything, girl. We're here for you. 2 days later, phone call. Hello? Yeah, Ashley, listen, like just based on our previous conversation, things are really bad for me right now. Like, can I borrow some money? Now, my sensors and my antennas went off a little bit because what do you mean you need money? This is somebody who's like constantly flying first class. This is somebody who's constantly wearing designer. This is somebody who's constantly like, I have this really, really big girl job that like makes me a lot of money. But you never know. I was like, oh shit, I bet rehab's expensive. Like, I don't personally know. I'm not someone who's like fortunately had to deal with something like that. But okay, maybe you're carrying a financial load for not just yourself, other members of your family. So this girl asked me for $1,000. I'm trying to be a better person these days. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have some karma to make up for from my 20s that I need to really like level the playing field a little bit. So I was like, okay, I can't give you the full 1,000, but here's what I can do. And then I also think it's really important, and this is a lesson for the youths as well. If you're going to lend someone money, you need to truly and really be okay with never seeing it again. You just have to, because you never know when you mix friends with business, friends with money, it gets sticky. People get super, super weird. Anyway, so I e-transfer her $750. Okay. For whatever reason, I was just like, the other $250, I was like, I want it. I don't want you to have it. But I was like, okay, I'm a good person. I can sleep soundly. She's like, I will get it to you by the end of the week. Now, at that time, I was going to Florida to work for the NWSL. So I was packing my life up. I was trying to find my new apartment. I was learning a new league. I was doing a new job. Play-by-play was new to me at that time. It was like my first extended run at that role. So I was preoccupied. Like 10 days later, I'm like, hold on. Leona? I haven't heard from you, girl. Like, what are we doing? Is Leona the name of Shrek's wife? Okay. Sidebar. I was like, that's crazy. Anyway, I was like, Leona, I haven't heard from you in 10 days. Like, what the actual And she's like, oh my God, like there's a famous Kevin Hart skit. Is like the way my checkings works and the way my savings works. Like I've already e-transferred too many people. Like I'm at my max. I'm like, okay, so when can I get it? She's like, I'll give it to you tomorrow. She sends me a screenshot from TD Bank of like, you have reached your limit, as if that can't just be found everywhere. I was like, I knew this bitch was shady. I got swindled. Like, I felt like those girls on the Tinder Swindler without getting a chance to get on a private jet, like without getting a Cartier ring or something like that. Like I got nothing to show for it. So anyway, we go back and forth a little while after. I come to find out another friend of ours is like, calls me up randomly. Listen, Ash, I know you've been hanging out with Leona a little bit. I just want to let you know that our group chat figured out that she's been taking money from people. That she's been borrowing. And it's like MLM pyramid scheme that she'll borrow from Ashley and then she'll give that money to Haley, who she owes money to. And then she'll borrow from Nadine and then she'll give that money to Sav, who she owes money to. And she's just like, it's like shell game. She's just like shuffling all this money around. Anyway, long story long, I got my money back mercifully. I don't know who gave it to me. Thanks, James. Thanks, Carl. Thanks, Jeanette. Like, I have your money. I'm sorry that happened to you, but also I'm made whole, so I'm not that mad about it. And then I find out this girl's under house arrest. This girl is under house arrest because allegedly, for legal purposes, allegedly, she tried to scam a cancer charity out of tens of thousands of dollars. Tens of thousands of dollars. So Leona, if you hear this story, contact my attorney, David King, because any slander or defamation can go straight to him. But yeah, that was, I don't know where that came from. Oh, friends and money. Mm-hmm. Number 4. Story number 4. Trinity Rodman. That was the clunkiest segue of my life, but here we are. Last week, we talked about Trinity Rodman being the it girl of soccer in this moment. And I really and truly believe that. I think she checks so many boxes. She's actually talented. She's athletic. She's been vulnerable about her past, and she's been open about her story, how she grew up, the conflict that she has with her famous father, Dennis Rodman. She's had like cultural moments. She's fitted up all the time. She's also very pretty, which is like her 15th best quality. But I really think that she has the capacity to really change the face of soccer in North America, where football is still growing. It hasn't even close to reach its pinnacle. And they're hoping that this year's World Cup, even though it's the men's, will help expedite that growth. But Trinity Rodman specifically can be a catalyst for that change. So the NWSL is trying, specifically the Washington Spirit, are trying their best to make sure she stays here, because women's soccer in Europe, the WSL, they want her. They want her to come over. They're like, Trinity, come on. We can offer you things. We can offer you development. We can offer you a different lifestyle. We can offer you tea and crumpets at 3 p.m. Like, who wouldn't want that? Do you know what I'm saying? Maybe get a Burberry sponsorship, something like that. Anyway, the Washington Spirit, they offer her a contract and they submit it to the league for approval. 4-year deal, $1 million and change every year for 4 years. The commissioner, Jessica Berman, formerly of the National Lacrosse League, actually, rejects the deal. She says, while it's not an illegal contract, well, it still falls under the parameters of our CBA, our collective bargaining agreement. It's not in the spirit of the rule. It's not in the spirit of the rule, because the contract is apparently very backloaded. And that means that the increase in salary won't be felt 2026 or even 2027. It's 28, 29 when she'll get an influx of that cash. And the philosophy behind that is because the new television rights deal will be up for negotiation, potentially new CBA stuff that's going on, depending on who like vetoes and who opts out. And so the salary cap will be higher, which means the team will be in a better place to facilitate that amount of money and payment for Trinity without completely up basically their whole team structure. Because obviously you don't want to have somebody who's making $1 million and your salary cap's $1.6 million. Like, how is that going to lend itself well to success? How is that going to lend itself well to just general camaraderie with your teammates? You have one have and you have 17 have nots. It's like, hey, Trinity wants to go to dinner tonight. Everyone else wants to go to Five Guys because like they have no money. Shout out to Five Guys, actually. But now everyone's sitting here saying, hold on. Jessica Berman, you just told us you're going to do everything possible to try and make sure that Trinity Rodman is able to continue on in the NWSL. The Washington Spirit have a contract in place. They said, we can live with this. And you guys said, no, figure it out a different way. Figure it out a different way. This is why we cannot have nice things. And I said it last week that I think Trinity Rodman should go pursue the WSL and she should go see where her game stacks up on the international stage. And if this had happened to me, I would 1,000% be even more inclined to go across the pond and play footy over there, because obviously you guys aren't serious. Like, if she wanted to, she would. That's kind of what I think about Jessica Berman vetoing that contract and the NSL saying, or the NWSL, saying find another way. If she wanted to, she would. And Trinity is trying to, she wants to, but you guys won't let her. So got to figure out how to get over that hump, because long term, if Trinity Rodman leaves the United States, leaves the NWSL, it'll be a big time detriment to the league as a whole, to soccer in North America, to football in North America. Yeah. That was egregious. I am sorry. I will send 30 euros to a charity of your choice because that was offensive. Okay. And then finally, the stud buds. Okay. I didn't know that people had mixed feelings about these ladies. Courtney Williams, Natisha Heidemann, they gained national popularity during W All-Star this year in Indiana because they did a 72-hour live stream and they took us behind the scenes to everything. Access to players, pre-parties, parties. Kathy Engelbert was cutting a rug on the stream. Like, we got to go really in-depth behind the scenes thanks to these two women. But Gabby Williams, a player on the Seattle Storm, was on AZ Fudd's podcast, Fudd Around and Find Out. Exceptional name. It's just such a good name. Anyway, and they did a Q&A. The first question is Courtney Williams posed question to Gabby Williams saying, Gabby, why you so fine, girl? And Gabby kind of leaned back and rolled her eyes. And she's like, Courtney, when are you going to leave me alone?
Courtney Williams asked one. And I think that should be the first question. Gabby, why you so fine, girl?
Courtney, when are you going to leave me alone? God, I'm so sick of it. Leave me alone.
I beg of you, when are you going to leave me alone? And then after that, a bunch of course, again, the internet does not let you forget. And videos came up from the orange carpet, Courtney Williams just gagging over Gabby, being like, where is she? She's so fine. I have to go tell her. I know she has a fiance, but like, she just looks so beautiful. I'm going to go pull up on her and let her know that she looks good. And then she's like, if things don't work out with you and your fiance, you let me know, kind of thing, which is like crazy in a vacuum to say, but it seemingly was all fun and games. You assume that they have an established rapport or relationship. You know, Courtney and T are cracking jokes constantly, but Gabby's response on the Fudd Around and Find Out podcast was like, she wasn't laughing. She wasn't joking. She like actually very much seemed over it. And then Natisha Heidemann comes on in response to Gabby and actually kind of gives a problematic response. She's like, nobody wants you. She's like, Gabby Williams, please. Nobody wants you, bro. No one's pressed over you. My friend Courtney hasn't been pressed over a girl in her entire life. It's not that deep. But what do you mean it's not that deep? Because here's what I will say. I think it is all fun and games if both people are engaged in the joke and both people are in on it. But what do you mean, like, in like taking a step back, if Gabby has already been like, yo, leave me alone, and then you go on a college student's podcast to be like, why are you so fine? And then the woman rejects you, and then your best friend follows up and be like, she's ugly anyway. You know what energy that's giving? Man in a Miata energy is what it's actually giving. Pulling up beside you on the road. Oh, girl, da-da-da, can let me get your number, da-da-da-da-da. No, it's okay. Like, I'm not interested. Or no, it's okay. Like, I have a man. Good, you were ugly anyway, bitch. That's the energy that it's giving. And I think that people are making a little bit of an excuse and giving a little bit more leeway to Courtney and T because they're women as well. But I think that it is important to be like, hey, maybe it is actually that deep, because if you're somebody who's pursuing somebody, whether it's real, whether it's in jest, whatever, and they've expressed to you, like, I don't like that shit. Like, you're making me uncomfortable. Like, I need you to back the up, like run, back up, the Will Smith meme with Ashley when he's teaching her how to fight. Like, mind your business kind of thing. So like, if that is the case, leave that girl alone, because I'll tell you right now, every single person who is a WNBA fan who like stands up for women and equity and equality and all that stuff, safety, making sure that women's needs are met primarily and then everything else follows. If it was the other way around and it was a guy treating a woman's athlete like this, everyone would be up in arms. It would be the biggest problem in the history of the world. So you can't let the bad behavior slide just because it's a woman to another woman, in my professional opinion. But that's just me. So I think you got to keep that same energy. I think the stud buds need to kind of chill on Gabby Williams, because that's the thing too. It's like, oh my God, the media training, like going back to the Penny conversation, it's like, she's laughing. She's kind of like, I don't know. Like, I didn't, it's like, yeah, that's not the time to like be uncomfortable and smirking. Like, I don't necessarily think she was laughing at the situation. I think it's just kind of uncomfortable to be asked those questions point blank period. if Natisha and Courtney had just been like, our bad, Gabby, we love you, like, good luck in your engagement, like, we'll just chill for a little bit, we'll stop applying so much pressure, then that's it. Then it's over. It's a wrap. It's done. It's not an issue. Now you have people who are like stud buds this, stud buds that. They have problems with like a couple other things that are going on. So just keep that same energy and, leave Gabby Williams alone. Keep doing your thing. I think what the stud buds have done for exposure of the WNBA and the brand, and honestly for their personal brand, has genuinely been uplifting. It's been positive. It's been funny. Like when she went to, when T, I think, went to, or was it Courtney? When Courtney went to Diplo and was like, can you change the music? Not understanding he's like a world-renowned DJ and that's like actually his brand. Funny, personable, but just leave that girl alone. And that's for everybody. If somebody doesn't like you, like, that's okay. There's other fish in the sea. The fish might be uglier. The fish might, I don't know, have a lazy eye, but there are other fish in the sea and you need to pursue those other options. Change the trajectory of the stream that you're swimming down, okay? That's just on consent, period. And then finally, this is like kind of just a sub thing that I saw. So Angel Reese and Paige Becker is linked up to do a candy collab. And Savannah and I have talked about this a ton. The way Angel Reese and her team market her is second to none, from Reese's Pieces to Me Bounds to her Reebok shoe line. Like, she is everything, to being on Vogue. Like, she is the moment, honestly. So she and Paige have done like a joint candy where it's like a Reese's peanut butter cup with like white chocolate cookies and cream on top with the Oreo. And they went courtside and they were live streaming and Angel was essentially doing like a little mini interview, I guess, with Paige. It was so funny. It's two of the most personable athletes in sport. Paige is exactly who everyone wanted Caitlin Clark to be in terms of the way that she like shows up online. It is what it is. Caitlin's her own person, but this is a collaboration for the ages. And I was dying because Angel was talking to Paige about how tall she was. She's like, what are you, 5'9", 5'10", 5'11"? And Paige, honestly, she was giving like man on a dating app. She's like, no, I'm not. I'm 6 foot. I'm sick. Get the ruler out right now. I am 6 foot. You're in heels beside me. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because like, I think if we've been on a dating app, have seen like, I'm 5'11" and because apparently that matters. Like, I'm 6'2" because apparently that matters. It does. It does. And it matters because you care, because you're weird about it. I don't care if I'm towering over somebody, as long as like, towering's crazy. Towering's crazy. Let me check my bias. I don't care if I'm the same height as somebody. But yeah, everyone has a personal preference and that is okay. So Paige, shout out to being 6 foot. Angel, shout out to you and your team for being marketing geniuses. It's chef's kiss all the time. And thanks for tuning into Cinderella Stories. Shout out to everybody who supports us, who likes, subscribes, leave comments, follows us on Instagram. Like, we actually are obsessed with you and we're obsessed with doing this show, and we hope to do it for several years, months to come. And so when you guys watch and you support and you give us your feedback, it means the world to us. So thanks for tuning in. This has been episode 21 of Cinderella Stories. I'm Ash. Sav will be back next week. We'll hear all about her trip to KC, what her first NFL experience was like. And of course, we will be on top of every single women's sports story that you need to know about, and even some that you might not care to hear about. Shout out to Leona. Wish you well.